Hello, this is Captain. Welcome back to the oil drilling tutorial series. This is going to be part 4. We're going to continue to improve the fraction system here. So a big part of this tutorial is kind of learning the mechanics and teaching you guys how they work. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so right where we left off here. So let's go ahead and first thing I want to do here is we're going to start working on the pump here. So let's go ahead and we'll cut out a hole. That's probably too high. Let's go right there. All right, and what we'll do is we'll add a control panel and we'll put it right here. All right, and we're going to add two things. One is, all right, attach rod. That's going to be a flip switch. That would be 1. We'll leave it for 1 for now. We're going to figure out what numbers we need. Next one is going to be pump. That will be a button. That will be a toggle, and we'll leave that as 1 for right now. Now let's go to this one. As you can see, 12 is the last number, so we'll make this 13, and we'll make this one 14. That way we can connect them all together. All right, then after that, we can go ahead and we'll just do none on these so that we don't need anything else there. So let's just do none and none. All right, we'll go ahead and because of that, we can delete the throttle and delete that attach button. Let's go ahead and check all the electricity here. So we need to re-electrify all of this. So let's hook it to there. Let's hook this right here. And let's make sure it should be going to the battery, but we'll reconnect to the battery there as well to make sure we're all connected. Nice there. All right, good. So we'll go ahead in the microcontroller and we'll start getting this ready to work. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll add just a level on the right here, and we'll start adding some nodes. So first thing I want to do here is we're going to add it's going to be an on-off output, and that is going to be for the attach rod. All right, good. Next one we're going to do here is it's going to be a number output, and that's going to be oil pump. And we can go ahead and we'll go inside. So we're going to PID control this pump. So first thing we're going to do is we'll grab these. All right, and then it's going to be off of the regular panel here. So we'll just copy a couple. And it's going to be 13, 14. So we'll do 13 and we'll do 14. Are there channels? And we'll plug those right into the panel here. And we'll just bring them down the bottom. All right, so those are plugged in here. All right, good. So first thing we do is we can just hook attach rod right up to there. It's just a button attaching the rod. Next thing we're going to PID control the pump. So we need a PID. We're going to grab the advanced PID here. All right, and so what we want to do here is the 14 is going to be what triggers the PID. All right, next we need our set point. Our set point is going to be the maximum value of our oil tank. Now I already know what it is. It's 19,828, so I'm just going to do 19,000. Just leave a little bit of headspace in there. That way we can make sure all that pressurized air as it fills up has time to escape and not pressurize the lines too much. So there's 19,000. All right, now we need a set point. This needs to be the actual volume of the oil in the oil tank. So we're going to go ahead and we'll do another number input, and this is going to be oil tank. Let's go ahead and we'll grab that. And that's going to be our process variable. So that's going to be, we want 19. It's going to show us how much it is, and then the PID's going to automatically do it. So next thing we need here is we already have that keypad left in there from other PID tuning. So here's the p-value keypad. We're just going to plug that into the proportional gain, rather, of the PID. All right, next thing we need to do here is I'm going to grab a function. We need to clamp this out. So we're going to go clamp, parentheses, x, comma. We want the minimum value, which is 0 on the pump. And then we want the maximum value, which is going to be 1. And we're going to clamp that out. So that's going in there, and that's going to go out to our oil pump. So this is going to dictate how fast that pump rotates, and it's only going to rotate as fast as necessary to pump the oil for us. All right, so let's go ahead and update it. We have a little bit of microcontrollers, or a little bit of panel work here to do with nodes. So let's go ahead and grab composite. As you can see, it comes from the panel, and it goes right into this node. So what we can do now is this panel is going to connect to there. Then this one is going to connect there. And then we're reading back the information here from here, panel, so that goes right there. So it's going to loop through this panel, through this panel, through this panel, and back through. So just a nice loop there. Oil pump is going to go right here to the velocity pivot in the middle. Oil tank is going to be right here. It is the liquid level of the central oil tank there for our oil storage. And then we have attached rod is going to go to both the table and the swivel clamp there. And we should be good for that. All right, good. So that's going to control our pump. Now, the next thing we need to add is a recirculation loop. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut a hole right there. We'll just grab this color over here, and we'll grab a fluid port. And so this is going to allow us to take the oil out of this fraction tower and send it back into the electric furnace. So we're going to go ahead and we'll leave a 2 gap here. And then what we're going to do is we want to have a valve because we don't want the oil, the fresh cold oil from the tank to go right in the fraction tower. We want it to go right to the electric furnace here for heating. Next thing we'll do here is we'll grab a valve. And so we have a valve here, and what we're going to do is put the valve right like that. Now they are directional. So I'll show you here in a second when we delete this connection point here. If you look at it, you can see that's fluid out. So you want to make sure you have fluid out on the correct side. So just keep in mind that those valves are directional. All right, so this will allow the oil to come from the fraction tower and go back into the electric furnace. Also have a valve here that's going to allow us to control the fresh oil in there. All right, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to hook up electricity. We'll just hook it right there. All right, good. So let's go in the microcontroller, and we'll add something for that valve. So let's go in here. Let's stick that. We'll leave that where it is. We'll stick it up there. And we'll go ahead and we'll add one more. And this is going to be an on-off output, and this is to the feed oil valve. Okay, so that's going to go to the feed oil valve. And so we'll set that up. All right, so what we want to do is I don't want, at a certain point, I don't want to add any new cold oil to the system. So that holds a little over 1,400 liters in the fraction tower. So let's just go with, let's say 14,000 is fine. So what we have here is we have the fraction volume. And so what we'll do here is a less than. And so if the fraction volume, the amount in the fraction tower, is less than a certain number, we're going to go ahead and we'll allow the feed oil valve to open. And so we'll set what that is. Now, 14 and change is the max volume of that. Let's go ahead and we'll make it 1,400. And this is going to be the fraction max oil level. All right, so that's going to set our level. So if we're less than 1,400, it will open the valve and allow us to put new feed oil in. Once we get over that, it will close this valve and it will only allow us to recirculate. This will keep cold oil from coming in there and chilling us off. So let's go ahead and update that. And we'll go ahead and plug that in as well. All right here is feed oil valve. Let me just make sure I didn't screw up a connection by moving one of these. I did. So you see, when you move one of these nodes, it will sometimes disconnect the lead, so you have to go put it back in. All right, so we should be good here. Let's check. All right, make sure all of our electricity is all set. It looks to be so. All right, good. Let's go ahead and spawn it, and we'll go test this system out. So there were some reasons why it didn't necessarily need to be done, but why it should be done. For example, if this fraction tower filled all the way up, we'd never have any way to get it out of there, and we'd never have any way to reheat it. So this now allows us that once this fraction tower fills up, in the case that we set it to 1,400, the only thing that will happen is it will allow us to pump it in recirculation. So it will allow us to keep heating the oil that's already in here. We can't completely grind the system to a halt this now. All right, so next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and do the attach rod. We'll drag this up, and it's in there. Okay, good. So we need to set a p-value. So I've already tested this a little bit, so we'll do 0.001, and we'll go ahead and we'll start the pump. So now, because this tank is empty, the pump is moving at its max capacity. It's moving at its capacity of 1. Now, you can play with the p-value however you like. This number works pretty well for me, 0.001. If it's too high of a number, what it will do is it'll be like an on-off switch. It will go 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. This is smoother, so you'll see this slow down and then speed up. You'll kind of watch it when this gets closer. This does not take very long to fill up. As you can see, we're already at about 4,000 liters. There's only 19,000 liter capacity, and it's been seconds. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll fire up the fraction tower here. All right, we can hear the pump going. Electric furnace is heating, as you can see. Pumps are going, and we're filling. So you'll see in a minute here when this tank starts getting close to 19,000, it will automatically start slowing our pump down and only allowing in as much as necessary. All right, temperature, as you can see, is climbing. We have the set temp still at 310 degrees. And so we can kind of show you some of the reasons why this recirculation loop is helpful. So right now the feed oil should be open rather, because we're less than 1,400 liters in the fraction tower. As you can see, it is open. That will close on its own. All right, so here, as you can see, temp is still rising, and we're still pumping. So let's go ahead and watch. All right, so we're at 11,000 there. We should be, we're getting close to the 19,000, and then the pump will start to slow down. Now, this isn't necessary. You could keep trying to pump at max the whole time. You could get in a state where you're just pressurizing the system. This will leave a little bit of area so that we're not hyper pressurized all the time, and that way we're not getting any sort of clogs. All right, heating up here. I'll get back with you guys when either the pump slows down or the temperature starts to get to 310. All right, you can see the pump is starting to slow down. As you can see, we're approaching 19. As you can see, we're right on time for 19, and once we hit 19,000, it will stop the pump altogether. Now, we're currently filling the fraction tower, and because we're filling the fractioning tower, it is going to continue to pump, but very slowly. Again, we don't have to pay for the electricity that's at this base. This is all free electricity. But, you know, just for me, for a little bit of RP, it's also nice. This thing does not need to spin at 100% the whole time. Plus, we're not going to super pressurize our system up to 60 atmospheres by doing this. As you can see, the amount of oil that is going into the fractioning tower, that's how fast this pump needs to go to continually keep that fraction tower filled. As you can see, it's very minimal. All right, so we're up to 279 degrees here. If you look at the fraction volume, we're only at 430, 440. And so the valve over here still is open because we're not at 1400 yet. And so I'll check back in with you guys when this is either full or we're ready to go. All right, so we're up over 300 degrees. As you can see, we're at 304. We're still climbing up. Once we hit 300, as you notice, the oil will be splitting off into diesel and jet fuel. All right, so here we are. We're at 1370 and change. And so it looks like the feed valve has closed. So let's go ahead and take a look. Still going here. So let's see. So currently, it is slowly rising here, so likely because we're pumping it through. And let's look at our temp. As you can see, our temp is nice and high now. So this prevents the problem that we had before. So before, with a strict preheat only method where we only preheated the oil before it went in the fraction tower, if you filled the tower, you would have the temperature drop. Makes sense, right? It would be like taking a hose of boiling water and pour it in the pot on the stove, right? Once it's in the pot on the stove, the temperature is only ever going to go down. By doing a recirculation loop, it's as though you're turning the stove on. So now it is continually sending cold oil back through, and it is keeping it heated. So as you'll notice, see this oil here? This is oil that is dropping below 300 degrees, okay? Or fresh oil coming in. It depends on what state you're at. And so as this cools down, this will turn back into oil, and the oil will be sent through for another recirculation and heating. So as you can see here, we're at our highest temperatures. We're up around 315. I'm just waiting for this to likely not going to hit the volume. We might have to lower that down to 1370. But as you can see, this is running, and it's holding this temperature well now. Before, the problem was this. If I didn't turn on the jet and the diesel pumps, it would cause this to cool off. That is no longer a concern. What's happening now is the oil will come through here, preheated, and then it will also be able to recirculate when it needs to. And as you can see, it is holding a nice high temperature. This temperature is only going hotter and hotter and hotter, and so this will get us a really nice high temp. And so, very simple system. All you had to do is add the recirculation loop. This valve is not 100% necessary, but it does prevent the system from clogging up. What you can get is we're able to pressurize liquids in game. That's not really accurate to real life. The devs have explained why they did it. I think it was a little bit of a balancing issue, is what they said. And so knowing that the liquids can pressurize, once we hit 60 atmospheres, that's a hard limit. Once we're at 60 atmospheres, we essentially, quote-unquote, clog. We can no longer push through a pump because we're at our limit. All right, and so this helps prevent that. By having this valve, if we ever get to a point where this tank is full, it will prevent us from getting more oil in the system, and that will keep us from having any sort of clog. And we can check this out by looking at the pump here. As you can see, the fluid out is at 4.2 atmospheres. All right, if we didn't put a safety system on there like this, what would happen is if this filled up to, let's say the max capacity is 1400, as soon as it hits 1400, we're going to pressurize, and we're going to pressurize up to 60, and then pretty much we're clogged up. And so putting this valve on there, while not 100% necessary, is helpful because in the case that we're going to clog up, this valve will shut, and then it prevents any clog. So kind of a clog preventer. And this recirculation loop here, dead simple, will make sure that even when the tank is filled up, that we maintain a nice temperature. So we can turn on the diesel and jet. As you can see, that will start to send that out. And that was the system we worked on last time. So the temperature will go down because we're taking that nice hot diesel and jet fuel and we're sending it away. So as soon as we go below our set temp of 310, you'll notice that these will, the pumps will shut off and will start to reheat again. That's from the last episode. So as you can see here, we're running well, and here goes our pump again. Because we're starting to send diesel and jet fuel away, the pump is starting to turn again. It was completely stopped. So pretty simple episode here. We went ahead and we now have a PID-controlled pump. Let's go ahead and actually put that number in. So 0.001 is the number I used there. That number is working well. So I'll go ahead and let's put that number in. Let's just make sure we disconnect the rod here before every time when we want to drop out the base. So go ahead and we'll put that in as a hard number. I'll leave the keypad there so you guys can use it if you wish. So right here is the p-value keypad. What we'll do here is this is going to be the pump p-value, and we'll make the number 0.001. All right, and so the number is 0.001 for that, and we'll just leave the keypad up here. And if you guys want to play with p-value numbers, you can. This will be in the workshop. This is now PID-controlled pump, so that it'll only give us as much oil as necessary. We also added a recirculation loop in here so that the oil, when necessary, will go back through the furnace by itself automatically, and it will reheat. Also added a pressure prevention valve here. Essentially what it's going to do is I set it so that it's below the max capacity of the fraction tower. And so that if it ever gets close to that max capacity, it will shut the valve. That way we don't overpressure the system and clog up any of our pumps. So pretty simple. Hope you guys found that helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.